Annectens, connecting professionals.
All right, guys, let's start. So today we are going to talk about our console overview, right? So portal assessment. So we'll talk about the end-to-end admin center flow. Okay. What is there on home, and how do you access devices, applications, what are the sub blades, what are their usage, everything. So it's just a revision. We already completed portal review. We already talked about the flow of portal, how things works, and blade and then sub blade and then multiple settings, like we talked about, like 250 plus settings are there. 13 essential important blades are there, right? And under that there are 60 plus sub blades are there, right? So now today we are talking about more on like how do know where to go, like for which topic where should you go and click on. So right now we are just running this MCQ as a multi-choice questions. In this assessment we will understand your knowledge, okay? And this is also a part of your today's recording classes, so it will be uploaded to Annectens website and you can directly access in your course, right? So let's begin without any delay. So first question would be, which Intune blade is purely a reporting surface with no configurable setting of its own? Just give me your answer, unmute yourself and let me know which one is the right one.
Devices overview.
Okay, everyone is on same page, right? So overview, when we click on this particular settings, so actually it takes you to the reporting phase, right? It gives you the reporting of all the devices which is there, right? It does not give you any sub blades or anything or any other configurable settings. We just able to see that what is there, right? Next is, what does the all services blade function as? Anyone can answer.
A device inventory.
Unfiltered master catalog.
Absolutely.
Unfiltered.
So all services we already talked about, like there are multiple services which is already there. You can favorite, make your favorite, and that will add up in the left hand side, right? So majority of them are already in the favorites, but all services blades gives you other options to choose from. Okay. Then how does Explorer generate its query results? Explorer we talked about, right? Copilot and other stuff.
The third one, manual KT or Intune.
What about the others?
Yeah, third one.
Okay.
Third one, manual.
So actually it's a curated library. When you go to Explorer, so you will see there are like some tested queries which are already there as a template that you can that auto suggests whenever you type something, it auto suggests you what to do. Like for example, I'm typing devices or I'm typing compliances, so it will tell me like what do you want exactly, which you want to go with the devices or any certain configuration policy, what do you want. So accordingly it will give you suggestions. Okay, which blade lets an admin pin report charts from across the console into a single customizable pin board? It's very simple, right?
Dashboard.
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 Absolutely. Okay, on the home blade, what means which quick action an admin sees on the home blade?
Blade.
So when you go to home blade, what do you see? I think we need to run a timer as well.
Yes. Role based access.
Sorry, what?
C. Role.
Someone is saying fourth, someone is saying third. Which one?
Second one, role-based access control. I guess.
Okay, so if you guess, what about others? Third, someone says third, and someone's third. Third is final, right? Okay, let's go. Okay, so it's role-based access control. Why? Because each home blade is customizable, and as per your role, this home page will something look like. Okay, so we'll just go in your tenant and just have a look on that, right? Okay, which three Copilot branded surface exist across the Intune admin centers? Copilot. I don't want to open
Fourth one.
console, guys.
Fourth one.
Fourth, where is Copilot in fourth?
It's AI Explorer Copilot Chat.
Explorer.
Yeah, A1.
Option A. Why? Because Explorer gives you option for automation and Copilot. Copilot chat is already there. If you go, on top of it, we talked about yesterday, right? Here on the top of it, we have Copilot, some, button. And also Agents Blade also consists of this Copilot, right? Okay. What does the management name column in all devices present? What does it say? What does it mean? Management name.
MDM. Management name means MDM use, right?
Yeah.
Second one, Intune internal composite identifier.
Everyone is on the same page? Final answer? Any other options you want to choose, or should we lock this one? What does the management name column in all devices represent? Does it say device host name? No. Does it say Azure AD object ID? No. Does it say Autopilot group tag? No. Does it say internal composite identifier? Yes. Okay. So this says like management name is what your username and the platform and date and time. Okay. Which action removes only company data profiles while leaving personal data untouched on a BYOD device? This is an interview question, and this is like 99% they ask this question. Which one do you choose to leave the personal data untouched?
Fresh start.
Fresh start is like a factory reset, right?
Wipe.
Wipe will remove everything.
Wipe will remove all the data. I guess retire, right? Retire, I
Retire
guess.
is the correct answer. Why? Because when you retire it, you just disconnecting management profile from that device, and you are just letting that device go. Okay, if you just delete that device, which means that you are only deleting the entry from Intune, but the management and profiles are still there on that device, right? And if you say fresh start, means you are starting as a factory reset, or you're starting it as a scratch. Wipe is something it's gonna delete everything from the device, so better not perform that from console. Do not try to wipe it out until it's corporate device and it's at the verge of like it's stolen, theft, or something that organization employee that he left the organization and you just wanted to reuse it. At that moment you may wipe it. Okay. How does delete do to a device record if the device is currently offline?
So A1 is just really delete the Intune record. A.
The first time.
A option. Okay, so nothing to personal device, physical device. It only removes the Intune record. That's correct. Okay, which remote action is specific to a Windows Labs managed devices? Okay, we didn't talk about it, but any guess, I'll accept it.
Local admin passwords. Second one.
Absolutely. So labs is full form of local admin password.
Admin
Okay.
password.
So that service allows you to reset the password, and you can set the interval how frequent you want. You can decide a local admin username and then password that you can set. Okay. So this stores that password in Entra and it keeps on changing. So whenever you require to sign into a machine where you require a local admin, so in general before labs we used to keep that password somewhere saved or in store, right? So we can utilize that password, but that password was risky. Why? Because it's a local admin password and it lets you privilege to do anything without the machine is on the domain, right? So to curb that, to stop that practice, Microsoft has come up with labs, so password, in which you get the randomized password every now and then when you are requesting to from the Intune console. You can get this, and then you can share that to local admin, local team, maybe local IT or field support engineers, FSCs, and then they will take it from there. Okay. Where would you find phase by phase ESP success failure telemetry for Autopilot devices tenant wide? We didn't talk about Autopilot, but we just covered that in the Blade wise. Okay. Where do you go in the Blade?
The second one.
The A1 device monitor
Yeah,
Autopilot.
Okay, so under devices, if you go to monitor and go to Autopilot deployment, so this is where it will tell you what is happening on the device and this deployment profile, if that is reached out to that device or not, whether it's successful or not. So that telemetry data that you can receive from the Autopilot devices. Okay, what does the device record discovered apps tab show?
Second one.
All software found on the device, MDM managed or not. Okay.
Yeah.
So discovered app means whatever device having software installed on that, whether that is managed by us or not, that will be available on the discovered app. So sometime when you do the deployment and you just checking for the dependency, when you checking for the please go on mute, guys, if you're not speaking. So what I'm saying, discovered apps is something when it is there on the device, and somehow when you are installing it, so when you are going on the device, right, and you just looking at installation of any application, it may happen that there is some dependency which is required, right? So you can go and check it from this way. Okay, what tool extract the serial number, Windows product ID, hardware hash for manual Autopilot CSV import? Okay, we didn't talk about it, but if any idea, I'm more than happy to accept.
Second one.
The second one, Windows Autopilot Info.
Okay, so Windows Autopilot Info is a CMDlet. It's a library, okay, which is there in PowerShell. We import this library and then we run hardware to extract the hardware hash command. We use some CMDlets. Okay, we'll talk about it when you're doing the Autopilot. Okay, which Autopilot deployment mode requires TPM 2.0 attestation and needs no user credential at all? It's very confusing, but let's see. No user credential. Where you used no user credential means see, user driven is something we require a user's intervention, right? We require a credential. Self deploying is also something when you're talking about the Kiosk, right? Hybrid AutoShine is also looking for a user credential. White glove is something where you pre-provision the device before that user. Okay, so as I said, like we require no user credential, but there is also a requirement of TPM 2.0 attestation. TPM 2.0 attestation is required when you're doing a Kiosk device, which is a physical device, which we require to have at least TPM 2.0 attestation to confirm that yes, this device is ready for the Kiosk, or maybe a ATM machine, or maybe a warehouse device, maybe anything, right? at that moment we used to go that with self-deploying mode. Self-deploying is where you do not require any credential, but that profile automatically takes care of the installation. Okay, mainly for internet cafe, or you have a warehouse, or your airport, or in any shopping mall, you will see there is some one standing alone machine which you directly use it for looking at the tag, or the prices of the product maybe. So, or you just want to check in at airport, you just want to put your INR, or you just want to scan the code and it automatically detects your details and prints out that ticket. So all these comes under the self deploying. Okay, which is the maximum character length for a device name template applied via Autopilot deployment profile. Okay, we didn't talk about it, but the maximum character length that you can choose. Okay, so any guesses? Otherwise, we'll talk about it.
15.
15 is the right answer. Why? Because it gives you good amount of space. Okay, a character length. In that you can choose it, like for example, I have a cloud PC, so I can have it like CPC or something like that. I can have an initial, add a suffix and prefix like that, or I want to have a random number, or I can generate this from the serial number. So anything that I want, I can take it from there, right? Which ESP setting blocks desktop access until device targeted apps and profiles finish installing? Okay, this is for Windows Autopilot we are talking about. So since we didn't discover, but we already talked about ESPs. So ESPs is something where you show the progress of the device, and since I didn't cover, so this is says block device use until requirements are met under the device preparation. So you can set this one, okay, which locks that, like you can have 100 of applications, not more than that, 100 application. You can add it in the block device preparation list. So all these 100 applications, until these are not installed, okay, the ESP page will not move forward. Okay, so the best practice is to have 2 or 3 applications which are mandatory. For example, we have a Cisco AnyConnect, or you have any antivirus, right, or you have any signature application, or something like you require Adobe on that device. So all these are the basic applications which you need to have on the device before you kick into the production environment, right? So block device requirement is something where you can specify which application you want to install, and that is mandatory. Without that, ESP will not move forward. Okay, in ESP, which phase runs after user sign in and targets user context, apps and profiles? So again, we're talking about ESPs here. So which phase runs after user sign in and targets user context, application and profile? So any idea?
A.
Device preparation.
Device preparation. A.
This phase runs after user sign in, right? So device preparation, that's what I was expecting when I clicked on it. Account setup is something that happens, right? Once you users sign in, then account starts getting set up on the device. You start seeing the like first you select region, then you select your keyboard, right, and language. Then it goes next. You type your internet username and password, and then we click on next. Then the account setup starts happening, and then you start seeing the applications and profiles. So though I did not cover, so
Vaibhav, we are talking about account setup on that machine on which we are running this thing, because the question itself says that after user sign in.
So that's what on the ESP page, when you select all these languages, right? Next it goes to see this ESP, where it gives you 3 breakups, right? One, it talks about the device preparation, where device connects. Then it prompts you for username and password from Entra. So you enter your username and password. Then the account setup starts happening. Then it goes to device preparation. Then it, if there is a requirement for hybrid join, it do that. Then there is application that will install, and then you get to the next page. We'll do the demonstration. We'll show you.
Okay. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, so we didn't cover it, but fine. What is the default minimum pin length for Windows Hello for Business? I think that I have shown you. 4,
Eight.
6, 8.
Minimum is what? Sorry.
Minimum is
Minimum is what?
4. Minimum is 6 actually. Okay, in Windows Hello for Business we're talking about. We're not talking about in generic pin setup. In generic you see it's 4, but when you're talking about Windows Hello for Business, this it goes to 6. Okay, which window Hello for Business setting allows our users to reset a forgotten password or pin via Entra. So which option do we choose? I mean, we didn't talk about it, but any guess? Mainly, which Windows Hello for Business setting allows a users to reset a forgotten pin via Entra?
Recovery, pin recovery, second one.
Okay, that's correct. So enable pin recovery. We
Yes,
choose
it's right.
when when we want to give an option for users to reset their pin, or maybe if they have just forgotten, so that extract it from Entra and then it enables that pin back. Okay. Grouping tag on autopilot device record is primarily used to. Grouping tag, we already talked much on this. So what is this for grouping?
D,
Which one? D.
B, dynamic
B.
reassigned.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any other answer?
It's B.
B only, right? That's correct. So why we are using grouping tag? So we are using ZTD ID, zero touch deployment ID. That zero touch deployment ID is we are using when you are you create a group. Okay, in that you put the dynamic query. In that dynamic query you mention that zero touch deployment ZTD ID. So what happens whenever you are uploading a hash ID? This, because of this query, those machines automatically fetched into that dynamic group. Okay, and it automatically assign that to a dynamic profile. So whenever you are setting up any profile, and if you're using a group tag and that group tag is matched with the group which you have created in Entra, which having a dynamic query already enabled, so that profile will automatically get assigned. Okay, which join type requires on-prem domain controller connectivity during out of the box experience?
Hybrid Azure.
Yeah, that is
Hybrid is
100% correct. Co-management workload slider hand off control between which two management system?
Second one, configuration manager and Intune.
Configuration manager.
Correct. So configuration manager is your SCCM and Intune. So this is where we decide, this is how it look like. So this is your workload, right? And this is your SCCM, this is your pilot, and this is your Intune, right? So for example, I have compliance. Okay, and I want to shift that. So I have a slider, I have a slider here. Okay, in this slider, I have options to slide it left, right, or center. So I can choose whether I want to go with only pilot. So I can choose this in the middle, and I need to have a pilot collection added to it. So what will happen at that moment? SCCM and Intune will not control those devices which are part of this collection, and only that compliance will be vetted or worked on this. And this will, when you're choosing a pilot, this will again the precedence will be taken from the Intune side. So Intune will only take care of those devices which are under the pilot collection, and once you are satisfied, then you can definitely move this to here. Okay, which means that it will go to Intune, and then in Intune you can have that pilot collection added, right? So that is how we will cover it more on that when we are going deep into it. What is the validity period of your Apple push notification? We talked about it already.
1 year.
1 year.
Correct. So do we get any this what is it, reminder for this, like your certificate is getting expired or something anywhere?
Yeah.
Where can you see that your certificate is getting expired?
There is an email alert which comes.
Email alert also, and you can also go to your Apple devices in their auto enrollment. There you will also see that, okay, that this is nearing to expire, and also email is coming, so that way you will be appended and notified. Okay, what is the immediate silent consequences when the APNS APNS certificate expired. So we had already discussed this, right?
Second one, all previously Apple to stop receiving
Yes,
any
second
MDM.
one.
Second one, okay.
All
Okay. So all previously enrolled Apple devices stop receiving the MDM command, any MDM command, right? So we'll not be able to manage MDM devices. Okay. Which condition is critical to preserve when reviewing the APNS certificate? Okay. What should you keep in mind?
B,
B.
Okay.
same Apple ID.
Second one,
Second one, right? Okay.
yes.
So you need to renew the same Apple ID which you have originally used. Otherwise, it will not accept it, right? Okay. What file format is the AD server token uploaded to Intune? We did discuss this. There is one called CSR which you need to download, and there is one that you need to upload it from Apple side. Okay. So this one is .p7m. Let me know, like, what is your understanding?
.p7m.
Okay, so this is what you download it from Apple, and then you upload it in Intune. So then the handshake, happens, and then it starts. Your Intune starts talking to the Apple devices. Okay, there's one change that happened from Apple side and Apple and Intune. There is a discussion happening with enrollment type. So earlier in enrollment token, we had one option called profile. Okay, now they are deprecating that profile option. Now they are create that there is new thing that is called enrollment policies, right? So enrollment policies and profiles look same, but profiles is something which is older version. Now they are moving out from there and they are choosing now enrollment policies. So we'll talk about it when you're doing the demonstration. Just give you FYI. Okay. Which AD user affinity option 2 is appropriate for a shared or kiosk iPad?
The first one, I guess.
B, enrolled without user affinity.
So which AD user affinity option is appropriate for a shared kiosk iPad? Okay. So enroll without user affinity means we do not require any user intervention here, right? So this, especially when you're choosing shared devices or kiosk iPad, as I said, internet cafe, we are setting up a kiosk iPad for internet cafe. So whenever someone is coming, they can directly take the order from that kiosk device, and they can upload that directly, and then they the order get processed. So enrolled without user affinity is the right answer for kiosk. Okay, what does locked enrollment on an AD profile prevent? If I say I had sent a AD profile to lock enrollment. Or any option, any?
I guess second one, the user from removing the MDM profile by factory.
Yes, B1.
B.
B.
Okay, so user from reviewing the MDM profile even via factory reset. Okay, so that's correct option. Now, which VPP license type requires no Apple ID and suite shared kiosk devices? Which VPP license type requires no Apple ID and suits shared kiosk devices? So there is some licensing term. We didn't talk about it, but any guesses will accept.
Device-based VPP.
Anyone else?
Device.
For kiosk, it will be device licensing maybe.
Okay. Device licensing. Which one?
Yes, device licensing.
or volume licensing?
It should be device licensing only.
Okay, that's
State
great.
and
Okay.
kiosk.
So volume licensing is when required when you're doing a bulk licensing, right? And of course you require Apple ID for that, but device licensing you do not require it because we are setting up kiosk devices here. What is the purpose of Apple configurator enrollment? So Apple configurator, we already talked about it, right? When you're having a MacBook which is not directly purchased from a known vendor, or it is not added to ABM, okay, and you require to manage that device, then how would you configure that so it gets added to ABM, right? So there is a process that we need to follow. So I've given you answer already. Just
Physically enrolled devices by
it's
Second
yes,
one.
yes, it's in front
Physically.
of you already. So to physically enroll device via USB that cannot go through AD. Okay, so automated deployment, deploying enrollment. This was not going to happen with this, and the device is not part of ABM. So what we need to do, we need to have an iPhone where we have Apple configurator installed, right? Then we require a MacBook which is having a USB connect, and then during the setup or initial stage when it launches, it says hello, and when it's says to set up the Wi-Fi, during that time you need to scan that scan it and get that added to ABM. Okay, that's how it works. So we'll talk about it in the demonstration. Which Android and enterprise profile type creates an isolated work container on an employee owned phone? Employee owned phone. Okay.
C, personal device,
BYOD.
personal own device, BYD.
Correct. So what it does here, we have a personal owned device, right? And in this personal owned device, I will have a container setup, right? So which means here I already have right here I already have my personal stuff, right? This is my personal data, but here it is going with my work profile. So whatever my applications are there, okay, that will come handy with a briefcase icon, something like that. So you better know that this is your work profile, and you cannot copy or paste from here, or you cannot do it from here to here. Why? Because there is some DLP policies which restrict you from taking this action. Okay, so that is because of the containerization. Employees do not get opportunity to, or they do not get an option to drag the data or maybe save the file on the different location at their personal level, but they can only they are restricted actually to be there in the work profile. Okay, so that is what called work container. Which profile type manages the entire company owned device with no personal work separation? Okay.
COBO. Okay.
Okay. So which profile type manages the entire company owned device with no personal? So COBO means it's a business only, right? We talked about it already. COB, B stands for business only, right? P stands for your personal enrollment, your personal enrolled device. BYOD is something that you own it, right? ASOP is your Android. We already talked about it. So this is, we are not going to discuss, but only these three are essentially we are going to use. So we are saying that here company provided device with no personal work separation. Okay, so that point of time it will be COBO. Okay, COBO is the right answer. Next, we have which profile type is designed for kiosk and single purposes device like warehouse scanner. Okay, single unit, we're talking about single purpose device, single unit. COSU, right? COSU is single unit. BO is for your business purposes. P is where your corporate device is there, but you have options to set up your personal profile as well, right? You have your Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever you want, you can have it here, right? Okay. What distinguishes COPE and COBO? Okay. So COBO is complete your company owned device with no personal container. COPE is gives you opportunity to create a personal container as well.
Should be B.
Second one, B.
B.
Okay, so COBO preserves a separate personal profile partition alongside full device management. Okay, so this one is the right option, right? Then what must an Intune tenant bind to before deploying any modern Android enterprise profile? Okay, we need to bind it somewhere, right? Okay, so we need to connect with Google Play Enterprise account. Okay, which enrollment path is intended for rugged purpose-built Android device without Google mobile services? Okay, we already talked about it. You know the answer is in front of you.
AOSP.
B.
B, Android enrollment.
Correct. Okay. What is the status of device administrator? This is a legacy enrollment. I think I already talked about it. Legacy device administrator and enterprise administrator. So enterprise administrator is the latest one, okay, which we are going to use, or we are using nowadays. And this device administrator is a legacy enrollment. So what is the status of device administrator enrollment?
I guess it should be the first one.
Any other answer?
B. B.
B, and
Yes. So it's deprecated already in Android 15 onwards. We are not using this one. Why? Because there is a challenge with the device administrator, because we are not, I'll talk in the Android section. The best thing is, this is deprecated. So because we were not able to get that container option there. Okay. What can a QR code or an FC enrollment token expiration setting range from? Okay. Any guess? Just give me a random guess. Anything, it's not a KBC. Don't worry, you're not gonna win anything. So, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 65.
1, 2, 3, 65. I said you're gonna sing it 1, 2, 3, 4 song. Okay. So option 1 is 1, 2, 3, 65 days, which is absolutely correct. So like we get opportunity, like once you create a QR code, right? That enrollment token, usually expires. There is a like 1 year of extension. Like 1 year, you can have that same QR code and you can utilize it. If you want to change that QR code, so this is something when you are sending this to field support engineer or local admin team who are available, who, like for example, we are supporting one client in US, right? We have a field support engineer at a different offices location. What they do, they they do enroll the devices and they give it to the user directly. What if I change that QR code, I reset that, right? So they will not be able to set it up. Then we will get tickets. Okay, then we need to again create SOP. We need to send that to with updated QR code and all, or maybe it gets bigger, we'll get a P1 or P2, like they are not able to scan the QR code or enrollment is not happening properly. So all this may happen. So it's better to have one long extended 365 days QR code, and do remind them before in hand that this is going to expire on this date. So we will be automatically renewing this with the new QR code and we will sending the communication across. So that way you will avoid ending up filled with all these tickets and all, and they will not be panicked what happened all of a sudden it's not working, right? Okay. How are multiple enrollment restrictions policy evaluated when several are assigned to overlapping groups? Okay, this is quite interesting, but it's a tricky question. Okay, you may get it in interviews as well.
Priority order. B.
Okay, so we have a multiple enrollment policies, right? How would I like to evaluate it? I want to make this assign something so it won't overlap. Okay, so first thing you said, priority order. Any other answer?
enrollment restriction device. So I guess D, the most restrictive settings always win regardless, because in question also there is a restriction.
Okay, so let's go. That's correct. So this is how you recognize what could be the answer. Okay, because answer is already there in your question. You just need to pay attention. That's it. Okay, what is the maximum device limit on? This is very common. I mean, we have already discussed about it. An admin can set per user under device limit restriction. So what is the maximum limit? Can we go unlimited?
15.
15 is
10, yeah.
the maximum limit, right? So we cannot go beyond that. So one UPN can enroll 15 devices, right? So 15 devices means I have a Mac, I have a 3 Android, I have 2 iPhones, I have 4 iPads, like that. So I can have, using the same email address or UPN, user principal name, I can enroll these devices. Okay. What restriction type controls minimum and maximum OS version at enrollment time? Type. We're talking about type here. Okay.
Device type restrictions.
Okay. So
Device type.
that is correct. Why here we decide which OS will be onboarded, what would be the minimum and maximum version of that OS, right? So this is where we can decide this. Okay, what priority does the built-in all users enrollment restrictions policies always hold? Okay, what priority we're talking about? All users enrollment restriction always hold. This is the default
default value.
right? So this is gonna be default value because this is a default setting in our Intune, right? On top of it, we create any restrictions, then that priority gets changed. Okay, by default, how does conditional access typically treat a device with no compliance policies assigned when the tenant default is set to not compliant? I didn't map any compliance policies. I did not assign it. So basically what happens when the conditional access is going to assess that device, and if it found that there is no policy assigned to it, what does it do? If I have marked it tenant, like by default it should go as non-compliant device. What does it do now?
The third one, it is ignored entirely by conditional access.
Conditional access will ignore it completely. Conditional access will never ignore. B option is correct. Why? When I'm saying that I have set a conditional access, for example, let's take an example. It's your house, right? It's your house, and in this house you have a security guard, okay, who is just going to take care of who's coming, and you are out, for example. Okay, he's going to take care of who's coming, who's not coming. This person is called as here as conditional access. Okay, now you said whosoever is coming inside this house, he should be having a ID or card or something like that. That should you validate that he is a resident of this house, and he's part of the family, or he is allowed to get inside. Okay, now this conditional access is going to ask that question. Okay, what do you have? Okay, do you have any ID card or something? What is that ID card? That ID card is equal to compliance. Okay, so if I say that person is not having any ID card, okay, and he's saying I don't have an ID card, but I am part of this family, should you please allow me inside? Okay, so what I say, since he no ID card means what? He's a non-compliant asset, right? So will I be allowing him inside my gate? Will this conditional access allow me to go inside if I don't have any ID card? No, right? It will block me. It will say, no, you're not authorized. Until you have ID card, you will not be permitted to go inside. Likewise, the same happens here with conditional access. Conditional access is your security guard who's going to check who's there, because in tenant I have set default is non-compliant. Default is non-compliant means whosoever by default, anyone who's coming, that will be fallen under non-compliant category, and he will be absolutely blocked right away. But if he shows his ID card, it shows that, okay, I'm compliant, I have a valid operating system version, I have antivirus and everything, I'm compliant, I'm doing check-in time to time, and I'm having a minimum password or whatever pin and all that, everything is there, and I'm compliant with the compliance policy in Intune. So at that moment, conditional access will allow you, right? So this is the analogy when you're talking about your house and you are setting up a security guard. You do not expect him to let everyone go inside until it gets validated properly. It may sound that sometime he will call you saying that, sir, this person is coming from the bank and he is having a checkbook or something that he want to cross validate, or he's having some documentation which he wants you to sign and submit it. So by default, he will be non-compliant until he shows his ID card, until he shows his validity, and that credentials gets matched with the tenant. It verifies, and conditional access then permits that person inside. Okay, so do not get confused with conditional access. Conditional access very tricky, but if you understand once in a lifetime, once you understand, you will never forget it. Okay, now next question is, what compliance state does a brand new device show before it first policy evaluation completes? Which option?
B, non-compliant.
Okay, so it's not evaluated. So it when it's going to run that, it's a brand new device, right? So first of all, it will go into not evaluated phase, then it will go to compliant, non-compliant, or in grace period. Okay, so there are 4 compliance evaluation phase through which the device goes through. Okay, which action is always present and non-removable as the first action of non-compliance?
The second one, device non-compliant.
Yes. Second one, B.
Which action is always present and non-removable as the first action for non-compliant? So first of all, we say, like, if I'm setting up a 0-day schedule, right, which means that as soon device is checked in and it's fallen under non-compliant, it will straight away decide that this device is non-compliant, and it will not allow you to access anything. Okay, it will be completely blocking you from accessing any company resources, right? And if you're setting up this, like for example, I said it's 0-day, right? It will give you option to change this. So for example, if I say 15 days, so 15 days device is checked in, right? But 15 days a buffer time is given to the device to stay compliant. Okay, if in 15 days the device is not compliant, then there is other option is called grace period. Okay, in this grace period, I'll again give 10 more days. Okay, 10 more days, I'll give this option to the device to stay compliant. What if the device doesn't go in the compliance after 10 days also? Then I will put that device in non-compliance and stop resources. Okay, all the resources will stop. But when I say 0-day, so as soon as device checks in, it gets it non-compliant and it stops accessing any resources. So you may see that this device non-compliant setting is something depends upon your security, right? Majority of the time we give this like 30 days or 15 days, 25 days, 10 days, 7 days, depends upon the schedule, right? How you want to set it up. So do check with your security team how you want this setting. Okay. Which compliance setting is unique to Windows and checks boot time integrity?
Secure boot.
Secure boot. Secure boot is something that keeps on checking, because secure boot is something on the internal on the motherboard side. It keeps on checking whether your device is having a unique Windows operating system in the boot sector, and also checks the uh, boot sector. Like secure boot is something before your operating system boots in. Before that, it checks all these validity check. Okay, these sanity checks happens, and it validates like, okay, you are, you know your integrity is okay and you are ready to boot, and that is what called secure boot. So recently we had that problem, the secure boot certificates got expired nearly, and Microsoft has given a script to validate your secure boot is enabled or not, and what is this current status, and how would like to update the certificates. We already covered in our previous batch where we when the secure boot problem came in. So, which Mac OS compliance setting requires full disk encryption? Okay,
File vault.
file vault. Okay, file vault is something, if you're not aware of it. So, file vault is something if you are coming from Windows. So, you have something called BitLocker. So, BitLocker and file vault is same. File vault is on your Mac, BitLocker is on your Windows. Okay, that's all. No other difference. Next is, what signal does the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint Compliance category evaluate? Okay, so it sends you some signal, some score or something. That way you realize that, okay, my threshold is this.
Machine risk score.
Okay, so machine risk score is something that gives you as a threshold, like your machine should abide or should be compliant with this much score. If it's going down or above, accordingly you can take the action, right? A custom compliance policy script returns what to indicate a passing detection. Okay, so custom compliance policy, if you are doing through the script, you will certainly generate some code to identify whether the detection logic is correct or not, right? So which one do you prefer?
The JSON,
B.
JSON describing the device.
Okay, that's correct. So because we are doing a custom compliance policy, so custom compliance policy, if you're using a what do you say, graph API, or you are creating your own JSON file, so there you can validate. Okay, there you can mention the passing detections, like property value evaluated against this rule and all those stuff you can prepare, and then you can deploy this custom policy, and that way it will be evaluated. Okay, what is the ultimate escalation? After this we will take a break, guys. So after what is the ultimate escalation action available in actions for non-compliance? What can we do if the device gets on?
Remotely lock the device.
Okay, I can remotely lock the device, and I can also retire the non-compliant device, right? So two options are there. I mean, you can choose remotely lock also. When lock is something which is common, like if you can also do it without having this non-compliant, but retiring is something when device is falling into the category. Either you can send a push notification to that user, or you can send an email to the user that your device is falling into this category, and if you do not comply with the company norms, maybe then your device will be automatically removed from from Entra or from Intune. So you can directly put that into the retire list as well. So after a few days, maybe in 30 days, if the device does not come up with non-compliance zone, maybe that device will fall in under the retire list, and it will automatically be retired from the Intune console. Okay, fine. Let's take a break, then we will cover the rest of the questions. Okay, it's going good. Lots of things that we are going revision here. Okay, so take a break, guys. Let's resume in next 10 minutes. Okay. All right, guys. Everyone is back.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
let's start. Okay, next question is on your screen. What is the single most consequential tenant-wide compliance default? What is the default policy?
I guess the first one, enhanced jailbreak detection.
Anyone else? Okay, mark devices with no compliance policy assigned as compliant and non-compliant. So this is the default one. This is where you go and change it, the time and days, like days in which the device should fall under the category of compliant and non-compliant. If it's more than 10 days, maybe if you just set the timing, and if it's, I mean, by default, think it like this. Okay, I don't want to give this example, it's very nonsense, but uh, okay, when we born, right, when we born, okay, we don't have any compliance set, right? Compliance means it does not say that in which religion you should go and what would be your caste or anything. Okay, it's very plain, straightforward that God, make you and just send it to you in this world, and there's no compliance set right now. Okay, so which means there is no policy assigned to it. Okay, now we come and decide, okay, what should be the compliance for this. So by default the compliance is saying that you should be non-compliant, okay, by default, and you have option to set a compliance date, days, right? So when you born, so you get in particular family, they follow some, they follow some religion, they follow some community and all accordingly, and you have some subtitle or name, something like that, and accordingly this is given to you. So by default policies also, when you checking in about the devices, right, these by default have no compliance policy as assigned. Okay, there is no compliance policy set for this baby, right? So which means that he can be anything, he's just a zero right now, but to make him from zero to hero, or you choose which family, it may be he's going in Ambani family, he can also go in Adani family, and he can also go in some other family, depends. So any XYZ family he can go. So depends upon those family, they have certain compliance, right? For example, if he is going in a Christian family, so they will have some compliance. They will ask you to read Bible and follow Christ and all. If you are in Hindu family, you will have some some sort of customs that you need to follow. So accordingly here the device is falling under non-compliance, there is no policy assigned, so by default device will be as non-compliant. But when you set the days, right, when you say is 0 days, 10 days, 7 days, whatever, 25 days, accordingly that compliance will be evaluated. So by default, if there is no compliance policy set, so that policy will depends upon, it will directly go in non-compliant, but you set some days and then it will be validated. Or if you have any compliance policy that you want to set, so it will be validated once the device owning that compliance policy. But by default, the first check-in, there will be no compliance policies assigned as compliant or non-compliant. So he will be like a bear, not Bear Grill, but he will be bear, and he does not have any compliances until he gets it to a tenant wide policy where we have certain attributes defined, and accordingly we set the compliance policy. I hope this example is something that came in my mind to correlate you. Okay, next is, what does compliance status validity period control? Okay, what does it say? If I set a validity period for a compliance policy, what does it mean? Okay, so it means that how many days a device can go without check-in before being auto marked non-compliant. Okay, so this is where you set the validity period to control, right? What is the default value in days of the compliance status policy period? So there is some default policy period, right? Default value in days.
90 days.
30 days.
So there is 30 days actually. 30 days is something where you can, that is the set of value, default value that is set, that talks about the compliance status validity. So 30 days you have a time to stay in compliance. You can follow some instructions that as per your organization they have set, like you need to have a proper pin, you have a fingerprint maybe, then you need to have face time, whatever, I'm not sure, but depends upon your compliance policy. You set up things. So 30 days is given the default value in which your compliance validity will be will be vetted and checked in. Enhanced jailbreak detection periodically validates jailbreak status. So jailbreak is something that you attempted to break the operating system, right? And you did modify some registry or some binaries inside of it. So what is that jailbreak status using this mechanism? What does it called? So when it goes to validate the jailbreak status, and which mechanism does it do?
Company portal.
Yes, company portal.
Absolutely. So in Intune, Intune is heavily dependent on company portal, and company portal is the first app which checks the integrity of your device. Okay, and if device found somehow that device is jail broken, or there is any malware, or there is any antivirus on virus on the device, it will straight away flag that device as non-compliant. It will not allow the device to check in. Okay. What does the setting catalog conflict detection do? Okay. Setting catalog conflict detection do. What does it do if there is any conflict in setting catalog? Means conflict means what? Like two people are doing the same thing, right? That is what conflict. So setting catalog, we have certain settings in the catalog, right, that we need to use. And what if the same setting catalog is also being applied by a different policy? So what detection will happen here? What this detection will do?
Flags in real time. Correct.
So this will flag real time that, okay, for example, I'm setting up two compliance policies. Okay, one I'm setting up for example, I'm doing some DLP, right, where I have enabled copy and paste. Okay, and the another policy which is also I'm doing the same, but I'm adding up another settings to save the data. Do not save the data on the personal one, but save the data on your device only, maybe on the SharePoint or on the OneDrive. So I have two policies which are doing the same thing, but there is a conflict. Why? So this conflict, how does this gets validated, or you enforced, or how do you check that as a detection? So this is where it flags the real time when you adding any setting, and that is also controlled by another assigned policy. So that way you can see that, okay, if you go to configuration policy, or if you go on that device, particularly if you go to device configuration, then you can see, okay, there are two policies which are talking about the same, and there is a conflict happening. So accordingly you can take one off and you can have one as a permanent policy. Okay. Which template is the escape hash for pushing a CSV with no friendly UI anywhere in the setting catalog? What is that called?
OMA-URI.
Right. So we already discussed this. OMA-URI is the custom policies, so that these policies where Intune does not have. For example, let's see, in Intune, I have on my device, I have a setting that is what called camera, for example. Okay, I have a setting called camera, but in Intune it does not have this. Intune does not have this particular configuration setting. Okay, then how do I manage this camera so I can stop it doing it, right? So I can have one thing which is called CSV. Okay, using this CSV I can create a custom profile. I know which registry should it target to, what would be the CSP path, and then I can add that in Intune, right, with the binary value. Maybe it's a binary value, it may be a it having a string or it have a boolean, whatever, correspond to that setting, that value I need to choose, and then it gets assigned. So mainly these CSVs work with your Windows devices, right? When you're having a Windows devices, then only these CSVs work. And on this CSV you decide a value, and that value gets updated in your registry. So whenever you are performing any action, so this CSV is going to take care of it, that particular setting. So if I have a camera enabled, and on my CSV says that disable this camera, which means this will automatically take care of disabling. But this Intune does not have this configuration setting, so I should not, either I should wait Intune to update that setting maybe in a year, or in a month, or I should take this CSV as a outside of the Intune path, and I just create a profile and just deploy it. Okay, so this is really cool feature. Okay, which BitLocker setting controls whether write access is blocked on removable drives not BitLocker protected? Okay, so any guesses? Which BitLocker setting controls whether write access is blocked? Okay.
Removable drive configuration protection.
Okay, that is correct. So when we're talking about from the BitLocker setting, if you're controlling any particular removable drive, right? And that removable drive is not a BitLocker protected drive. Usually we used to have that BitLocker protection on the drives, or maybe on the removable drive. Okay, so when we are writing something, how would we ensure that this should not write anything on that device? Okay, for that we can have a configuration protection policy that we can assign. Okay, administrative template in Intune rehost which classic technology? So ADMX, I hope you guys have heard about it.
Yeah, ADMX settings.
Okay, so group policy ADMX setting, that is the one that we can enable. So that is a classic technology from GPO. What you can do, you can export that in ADMX, or you can directly download it ADMX file. For example, we have a in the demonstration we'll talk about it, like Google Chrome ADMX policies. So I can import that, and I can change the settings accordingly, and then I can deploy it in my environment, right? Okay, what does group policy analytics report as not supported? What does it mean? Not supported means what?
A, setting with no cloud MDM equivalent.
Okay, so means I had an on-prem, right? In on-prem environment, I had some group policies which I have defined. Now I am moving that group policies to cloud. Okay, sometime it happens what we talked about, like CSVs. So something which is not there in Intune, we can have it CSV, we can deploy it, right? But with group policies, we don't have this option. Okay, either we can have it or we cannot have it, right? So with this setting, when it says that it's not equivalent to MDM, so unfortunately we will not be able to make it. So when we're doing the demonstration, we'll talk about it. So these are the hard blocker where when you're doing the cloud migration, we need to decide which policy should we take, which should we leave it behind. Okay, next is, what action does the migrate button in group policy analytics perform? Okay, I think I talked about it. What does migrate means? So migrate means, yeah. So for example, I'll just give you a heads up here. I have this yellow box, right? And I have, this is my Intune. Okay, and here I have some blocks as well already, right? And I have some boxes here which are in a different color, okay, altogether, which are in different color, right? But I need to do a migration. Okay, what I need to do is called migrate, or I need to move it, right? So which option would you choose to migrate? Okay, do we have any correspond settings for this here? No, right? So it will not work. correct? Do we have any correspond settings here? Will it work? No, right? What will work? This we have settings, right? We have other policies related to it, and we can simply go and migrate it, right? So will this work? Yes. So that is what called migration, when you are setting, when you have some settings, right? And that settings is already matching with your configuration, your catalog profile, which means that these are my catalog profiles which already there in Intune, right? And this is something that I am picking it from the group policy, right? This is, I'm taking it from the group policy. So now this group policy already matches with the catalog profiles which is there in Intune. So for it, the migration gets easier, right? So we don't need to invent the wheel again, since we already have these catalog profiles, so we can easily migrate. So that is what this migrate button they are talking about. Okay, this migrate button is something, it will match your group policy with the subset of the available settings in the catalog, and then it will issue you, it will show you that this particular setting is available, and then you can go along with that, right? I hope this example is clear. So we will choose the option called create a matching setting catalog profile from the supported subset of setting. Okay. Which encryption method options are available independently per drive class in BitLocker setting? Okay, I didn't talk about BitLocker, so I cannot cross question on that. But any idea? Any 1, 2, 3, 4, any option that you want to choose, I do accept it. Then I'll explain why.
Maybe is 2, 3.
So which encryption method options are available independently per drive class in BitLocker setting? Okay, let's choose the first one. So BitLocker have two subset of like algorithm, the SHA algorithm that is runs on 128 and 256, right? So 256 is something in Intune, and 128 if you're using your SCCM or something, right? BitLocker. So we'll talk about it more on the AES, what is XTS, what is AES and all, CBC. We'll talk when you're doing the BitLocker right now. Okay. What can be uploaded to extend the administrative template catalog beyond Microsoft's default? Okay. I think we just talked about it, like a Chrome policy if you want, or anything. So you can have a custom policies created, right?
Custom ADMX file.
That's correct. So if you want to set something custom, right, and these ARM, not ARM is in Azure. Administrative templates catalog is something which is not there by default in Microsoft. So what we can do, we can create a custom ADMX file, and we can decide, we can choose the policies inside of it, and then you can create it, right? Okay, what exit code from a proactive remediation detection script triggers the remediation script to run? Which code does it run, okay, to trigger that script? Like whether that script ran or not, how does it detect?
Exit code 0. A.
0. Anyone else? Which one? 0 or minus? What exit code from a proactive remediation detection script triggers the remediation script to run? What does it trigger to run?
1.
1. Okay. So exit code 1 is, so 0 is something, no error. 1 is something that yes, detection is still happening. So it will trigger that script to keep on running. Okay. Okay. What happens if the detection script exit with code 0? What does it mean?
Device healthy and remediation is skipped.
Okay, so that is correct. As I said, 0 is something which we don't have any issues, right? 0 is something that everything is successfully running. But what if there is anything called 1? It may be that we still require that remediation that to perform. Okay. Which setting governs whether a platform script runs as a system or as an interactive user? Okay, which settings do you choose to make it? Okay, don't go with this. My mouse is just like, you know, which option do you feel? So you need to deploy a script. Okay, which option would you choose? Whether should it go with default system account or should it go with the interactive user?
B, using logged on credentials.
Anything else? Anyone? Okay, let's lock it. That's correct. Okay, so run this script using the logged on credential. Okay, so that way this setting will govern whether it is running as a system or it's running as an interactive user. Okay, how frequently can a proactive remediation be scheduled to run? Okay, so depends upon how frequent you want that remediation. Okay, it may be you can choose at any point of time whenever you want. You want to run it once, maybe in a hourly fashion. You want to do it daily, manual, whatever. Okay, that you can choose, or you want continuously to run it weekly, whatever you want. You can decide.
B.
Okay, B is the right answer. Okay, what platform uses shell scripts as opposed to PowerShell for platform scripts? Okay, so what platform
Mac
uses shell? Right, correct. So shell is mainly used in Mac OS or Linux, right? Okay, what do filters add on top of the standard group based assignment? Okay, filters, why we using filters? We already discussed it number of times. Filters, I already shown you one of the demo as well, where I created my machine as a filter. Maybe why are we using filters?
The property based include B option, include or exclude rule.
Okay, let me explain this filter exactly. What is this filter all about? Okay, I have for example, this building I have. Okay, and in this building I have a separate floors, right? I have a separate floors. Now there is one floor which is dedicated for HR personals. Okay, HR personnel. So this is HR team who sits here, right? Now I want to apply a filter. Okay, now apply a filter. I have interviews going on, right? I have interviews going on today, and it's Saturday morning, of course, and it's walk-in, so lots of people are checking in now. Okay, now I want to set a filter here. Now in interview I have candidates like one who is going to do the fresh interview. Second one, I have someone who's offer later maybe pending. Okay, and I have third one who maybe they are just waiting for a validation, not sure. But let's take the two examples only. Okay, so fresh and offer later, right? So fresh interviews, I'll put a filter here. Okay, this filter will talk about these people, okay, who are just freshly came and they need to go to interview. They need to go to which floor? They need to go to the second floor, right? They need to go to second floor, right? Who's sitting in second floor? Of course HR team is going to set that, right? So this fresh interview, they need to go to the HR, and HR will line up their interviews, right? Now I have like I have other section where people are waiting for their offer letter. For example, this or let's see, for HR is not going to deal with the offer letter. Now offer letter is something, a different section of team who is going to do that. So they are actually taking care of offer letter. So I will put exclude filter here. Okay, exclude filter means I just don't want my HR team to be disturbed because of these people, okay, because they are already, and I will add another filter, okay, and that filter maybe I can include that offer letter building, okay, or offer letter section. So these people they will directly go to offer letter building, okay, or section, and this HR people will be excluded, though both are having the similar both are the candidates, right, but they have different priorities and different requirement, right? Accordingly I can choose it. Now we talked about here in real world that we have fresher coming or offer later. Now in our Intune parameters, we could be, it's a device manufacturer, device ID, device name, model number, uh, you know uh, it could be device ID or UPN, maybe company owned device or personal or BYOD or corporate, ownership type, anything, there are n number of available uh, properties based out of which you can decide whether you want to exclude and include, right? So this option is something that we will choose here, correct? Okay, which Intune policy types can filter be applied to? Where we can apply filters. Option 1, 2.
B.
Option B. Okay. Okay. What does a Windows 365 provisioning policy defines? Okay, we are talking about cloud PC. Okay, we'll cover in cloud PC in our next coming sections. Maybe after this advanced and architect, we'll be covering that. So what does a Windows 365 provisioning policy define? So Windows provisioning policy defines what would be the image, what would be the target user groups, and which new cloud PC, how does this look like? Okay, so when you're setting up a new cloud PC, okay, you define these provisioning policies. Okay, we'll talk about it. What is the primary purpose of a policy set? Okay, I already talked about it multiple times. Policy set, we have given example also for marriage party, right? Okay, so this is where you have bundled section where you can have multiple application and all you can define in one set and you can deploy, right? Okay, what does multi admin approval? Okay, yesterday I talked about it.
A.
Okay. Okay, which app type uses the .intune win packaging format and supports full detection requirement rules? Already discussed this.
Windows 32.
Win32 app.
Correct. Okay, what does a Win32 apps supersedence settings do? Yesterday we already talked about this as well. So yesterday I said I have one version of 24. Okay, and I got another version which is called 25.1.
Yes,
B.
second one, B.
Yeah. So what 25.1 is going to do? It will not do anything. It will automatically upgrade it to the latest version. Okay. So older version will automatically be removed and the latest version will automatically be installed. Okay. Which app assignment intent removes the app from targeted devices? What you do, then you get applications automatically removed from the user's devices. Which assignment? Where do you put it? Have you removed any application from your devices? How do you do that? You go to AppWiz, select the application, then what?
Uninstall.
Uninstall is the option, right? Okay, app configuration policies can target which two categories independently? App configuration policy we're talking about. We had yesterday, I showed you up that. Where you define this app configuration policies? Do you have any platform restriction? Like it will only go to Windows or only go to Mac? Or it will only work with store applications or LOB application, or will it work with only compliant and non-compliant devices?
Store apps and LOB apps.
No, any other option?
We're
talking
the
about
first one.
Category. We're talking about category which is
Managed
independently. So managed devices and managed apps. So two options are there when you're setting up any configuration policies. You can define whether you want to place that to devices or to your managed applications. Okay, this configuration policy you can define it. Okay, in app protection policies, conditional launch setting, which is not one of the three failure actions. We're talking about app protection policies here. What should be the conditional launch? And in that, if that is not meeting, then what would be the three failure actions?
B. Wipe data.
Auto uninstall the app actually. Wipe data. So application protection policy with the conditional launch settings. What is not one of the three failure actions? We cannot uninstall any application, right? What is not action that we can take? Okay, we can block the access for that user. We can wipe the data for that user. We can warn him, right? Like you attempted 3 incorrect, pins. If you continued, then it will automatically wipe the data. But we cannot uninstall the application. Okay, conditional access cannot uninstall. As we talked about that security person who's next to your door, he cannot kill that person who does not have an ID card. Okay, what it can do, only it can warn him that please get the ID card and then come back. It may get into a fight situation. Okay, sometimes if someone is pressurizing him to get inside and he's just being a security, he's just protecting as a protecting layer, he's just trying not someone to get inside. Okay, and what we can do, a block access. If you don't have ID card, it will simply block that person, say like you're not authorized to get inside, right? Uninstall means we cannot kill or we cannot harm any person who does not have ID card. We just start slapping him or we stab him just because he does not have ID card. Okay, so this is what we cannot do with conditional access. Okay, what does MAM-V, which is called without enrollment? So mobile application management without enrollment stand for in the context of app protection policy.
B. Man without enrollment.
That is correct. So without enrollment means we do not require BYOD devices to enroll with our organization, but they can only register as soon, like for example, I want to access my Outlook, and as soon I am going to access, it will ask me for my enter ID and password, and once I'm setting it up, it will ask me to set a PIN for that application as well, where I do not require any company portal or anything to deploy and get that my device enrolled, but it will directly registered. That device will only register, and whenever I'm accessing those company resources, only then I have that connection established. Otherwise, the token will expire automatically. So I will not have without entering PIN or without authenticating, I will not be able to check in for that application. Okay, that is what application protection policy is running. Which node under applications monitoring shows full software inventory regardless of Intune deployment source?
B. Discovered apps.
Discovered apps, which can give you the entire software inventory on that device. Okay, so whatever you deploy, where you did not deploy, doesn't matter. Discovered apps will show you all the applications. Okay, what is the purpose of S mode supplement policies we talked about yesterday? What is the purpose of S mode supplemental policies? So S mode is something which is really restricted mode. We have a security here. Maybe like if you're doing education, you're doing a schooling, so you give some sort of operating system which is designed by Microsoft. You provide that device to those users. Okay, so they will not have that full capability or functionality like we do on our machines. We can install anything, we can uninstall anything, right? They have very restricted area of access, right? So to supplement with the S mode, what policy should you create, and what does that policy do for those?
D.
Okay, so it will allow additional signed applications to run on Windows devices under the locked S mode. Okay, even though that device is in lock mode, in the S mode, is still we can create some policies which can supplement the features. Maybe some applications which are already whitelisted, maybe you have your school application, maybe you have attendance tracker, okay, something like that, that is already signed. So that application you can put it in allow list and you can deploy it in Windows devices which are already logged in S mode. Okay, which endpoint security policy type is detected purely to exclusion list separate from the main AV policy? Okay, this is what I'm talking about. AV means antivirus policy. So which endpoint security policy type is dedicated purely to exclusion list? Okay, this is question from endpoint security. We have not covered it, but any idea? We'll take it.
B. Antivirus exclusion.
Defender update control.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Antivirus exclusion is the right answer. Okay, so this is where we're talking about, like we can set a exclusion list. In that exclusion list we can dedicatedly mention what security setting which I want for my environment, right? And that I can put in my exclusion, and that way we can take it separately. So with the main policy, this exclusion will be separately dedicatedly this will be available, and this is purely the exclusion list we talked about, right? Which policy type is dedicated purely for exclusion list? So antivirus exclusion is purely meant for exclusion list setup. Okay, which
Vaibhav, one question here. Antivirus could mean any third party antivirus also, but Defender is specific to Microsoft.
That is correct.
So,
But it
is the question is indicating like Defender is also an antivirus.
But Defender does not gives you option. Like here we are talking about exclusion list, so we're talking about separate from your main AV policy. Okay, so this policy since we're already talking about exclusion here, right? And we already have a AV policy set up in our environment, but we are only talking about the exclusion list. So for that antivirus, whatever you're deploying it, right, you can have a exclusion separately decide, you can put in that. Defender update control is a different thing. We're talking about exclusion here. Okay. Next question is, which Mac OS specific disk encryption technology is configured under endpoint security disk encryption?
File vault.
That's true. So, okay, Mac OS, we are going to talk about more about enrollment and other stuff. We'll talk about the setting up policies, file vault and everything. So, if you have Mac OS with you, maybe because I don't have anything which is virtually available, which we can do, like we are doing it for our lab environment, right, for Windows machines. So this is something you require a practical demonstration by your own. Okay, if you have a Mac, or you can loan it from somewhere and just do the enrollment and see how does it work. I will try my level best to show you how things work. Maybe I can record something from my Mac. Maybe I can show that to you. And we'll take it up.
I think there is a simulator available.
We have
for simulating that. No, I mean I don't know, but I have. I have read somewhere that there is a simulator available which can simulate it. I still have to research on it, but
simulator. I'm not. I know that there is simulator, but I never tried it. Maybe if we can test it in virtual machine, maybe. Yeah, check it and let me know. If that is there, then that is well and good. Of course, we can go with the 24 version, and we can have it. We can try doing the enrollment. I mean, this will be for Annectens. This would be something like we used to do that recording session, and we used to capture that. But if we have simulator, absolutely, that is fairly awesome. Okay. So do test it and let me know what best we can do. Then we'll accommodate here. Okay, what are the possible states for individual ASR rules? Okay, we didn't talk about ASRs and all because we just covered the just we overlooked it. We didn't get in deep. So any guesses?
we block audit, block disable.
So ASR rules, this is where you define how the policies or the state of the device will be working, and how would you like individually, what rule should you keep it, whether you want to block, you want to keep it into audit, or you want to warn that, or you simply just wanted to disable it, right? Okay, what does controlled folder access protection against? Control folder means you don't want to give any ransomware directly go and access that this dedicated folder that you have, right? So what does control folder access protection against, what does it mean?
The unauthorized apps, right?
Absolutely, that's what
Yeah.
so you might have heard there was some I mean, it's been early days, there was some notepad ransomware came. So you directly get, when you download something from internet, you get one small file like a notepad, on the desktop. So you think it's a normal notepad file which is there on your machine, and you never know what is inside of it. You just double click on that notepad file, and it creates multiple unlimited instances of notepad on the screen, and you cannot do anything, and just out of some time, your system gets hung and not responding, and that keep on multifolding itself, and then at last you need to restart the device. Okay, and that was some ransomware has come. It's been early days, like I think I'm talking about 10 years before. But okay, so I'm just wanted to give you a heads up, like this is behavior of a ransomware. So to protect our folders from unauthorized applications or something which is going to write up something on the machine, we can have such settings of protection enabled, right? Okay, which settings govern whether suspicious file samples are shared with Microsoft for EDR analysis? Okay, EDR we did not talk here. So endpoint detection rule, anything, any idea?
The sample sharing for all files.
Sample sharing for all files, that is correct. Okay, what does Windows Lab post authentication action allows? Okay, so labs we already talked about it, local admin password services. So post authentication, what happens? I gave you password for labs. Okay, that is your local admin password. What you will do after that once the authentication is successful?
Resetting the local admin password on unlock.
Second
You can unlock the
Yes.
device. Absolutely correct. Okay, what is security baseline in Intune? Security baseline is a flat settings which is by default there. Okay, which is the core of the policy, which is the core of a baseline for the security. Okay, so baseline is what here we should have some defender settings, some other settings from the catalog. We should check the operating system release version and everything, right? These are the baseline, these are the basic thing that you check. Okay, what distinguishes the STIG audit baseline from other security baselines? So this is more on audit purposes. Okay, when you're doing it any baseline and you want to do some audit, so what do you do? Which report or configuration setting would you like to take it up as a baseline? We didn't talk about it, but any options? Otherwise I'll choose. What distinguishes the STIG audit baseline from other security baselines? Okay,
I'm not sure. What is STIG? STIG?
STIG is an audit actually. So STIG audit baseline is something like when you are in enterprises, right? So these STIGs, they actually talks about the security technical something like technical implementation guides, something like that. Okay, so these audits in US these are published. So just to defend your system or your organization, okay, with certain information system agencies, we do set some settings, right? So here also there are some predefined set of securities right? We do implement, like for example, any operating system or any application, you want to set some flat security settings, right? So during an audit, they will ask you what is your current configuration, and they will compare it where with their standard, and they will identify whether you are falling under non-compliant zone, or you are actually falling with their, I mean, you are aligned with their settings. For example, I'll give you typical use cases. Let's see, you have a password complexity, right? So your account policy or account lockout policy will have some complexity of password, right? If whether you have set it up or not, right? Then do we have BitLocker or file vault encryption or not, right? Maybe you have local administrator restrictions or not, right? Then do we have a secure boot or TPM enabled or not? All these are the basic thing. Actually have a TLS or SSL or not configured or not. Okay, these are the basic settings. These are the baseline security baselines. So when we're doing this audit, especially at time of like security personnel, they come, they are from the someone from third party, they visit your office, right? This is security technical implementation guide, and they checks whether you are following their baselines or not, right? And accordingly they give you compliance or non-compliance. Sometimes you see in your organization you have some courses defined within a 6 months or within a year. You need to complete some courses, like some of the cyber security courses, then some other courses, right? So these are actually audit for the audit purpose. These are the baselines that your employee should aware about the cyber arc or the cyber security. They should be aware about the HIPAA. They should be aware about some other things, like they do not need, they don't set their laptop unlocked. They should not write something on the paper and just keep it on the desk. You should have a clean desk policy and all those stuff, right? Posh and all. So these are the compliant baselines which you need to follow if third party is coming for the audit, so they can show that yes, your employee is already covered with these all knowledge base. You already have covered all these what I say, lessons, whatever, that way you are compliant. So that is what this audit policies are. I mean, you will come across in when you go organizations, there will be multiple audits, and you need to be participating in all these so that you stay relevant. Your client will ask you to be there on the calls, tell them, like for example, there was some audit happened last month, and they had asked us, like, what is the SCCM patching compliance? How do you patch your SCCM? Then how do you you do the operating system deployment? What is your console, whether it's updated or not? When is the last updated? And all these things, they were just putting that in the audit. So they compare it, they understand that your organization is following the practices which are set, in the industry. Okay. What does the compare baselines feature let an admin do? So comparison means that you are comparing us against two other configuration items or current configuration to understand, like what are the differences. Okay, what are the features that you should add or remove, something like that.
B.
Okay. Next is, which policy type manages local device group membership? Okay, we talk about local administrators. Which policy should you create that takes care about it? Group membership. Okay, we talked about group membership, right? So which policy?
Labs.
Labs, Windows Labs, sure.
Second one.
Okay.
So local user group membership, this is where you decide, like we can have a group policy that will take care of. You can also have in for Mac OS also, you can set some scripting, a bash script that will take care about that user. If he's as an administrator, then it will be demote him from there to a standard user, or it will set it to local group membership, something like that. Okay. Next is, which security Copilot agent evaluates multi-admin approval request and provides risk-based recommendation? Okay, which agent is actually responsible? These are tricky questions,
Change
but these
review.
are the interview questions as well. Sorry, which one?
Second one, change review agent.
Okay, that's correct.
Vulnerability.
Change review agent is actually responsible. So it whenever you are changing something in your environment, right, and if that is fallen under that multi-admin approval bracket, so this will go raise a request, and then out of this risk recommendation, the second admin is going to take care of it. For example, I'm just going to remove wipe data from one of the device, so I'm doing a change which is risky, right? So this review agent will trigger alert as an approval, and that will go to the second admin, and he is going to validate whether that should be approved or disapproved. Okay, so accordingly we can take action. Which agent converts an uploaded compliance document or plain language policy into matching setting catalog configuration?
Second one, policy configuration agent.
That's correct. Okay, what does the vulnerability remediation agent actually do?
B.
Okay, that's correct. Okay, what is the status of device offboarding agent as documented? What is the status of device offboarding agent as documented? So we didn't talk about the agents in Copilot or anyone, but any idea? We're doing a device
Just the
offboarding.
second one.
Yeah, it is being retired
Second.
from the admin center. That is correct. So when you're doing offboarding means we are retiring that device completely. Okay. What resource pool do Agent Explorer and Copilot chat all draw from? Okay, so we're talking about resource pool do Agent Explorer. So all this coming from
SCU.
security compute unit. Absolutely. So this Copilot and all this is coming from that resource pool directly. Okay, how does the centralized report blade differ from per blade monitor tab? Okay, so we have one dedicated reports tab, and we have some dedicated sub category. Like if you go to devices, there is some monitoring blade. Okay, so how does it differ?
B. Aggregates reporting from across devices.
Right. So the outside of the report blade, talks about centralized way of managing all the reports in one go. But if you want to go deep, you want to go granular, like device wise, platform wise, or application wise, at that point of time, you can take it from there. Okay. Okay, which report category includes startup performance and application reliability? Startup performance and application reliability.
Second one, endpoint analytics.
Endpoint analytics. That's correct. Okay, what exports format does the report blade typically support? In which format can we take that data?
CSV or JSON.
Yes.
Okay, yes, that's true. Okay, what can be scheduled for selected reports? What we can do? What can be scheduled for selected reports? What can we do?
Live dashboard.
Live dashboard. Okay. So that was going to select this one, recurring scheduled export to storage endpoints. Okay. What are Intune users actually created and managed? Where is it created and managed?
Entra ID.
Correct.
B. Microsoft Intune.
Yes, we have Entra, which is like a warehouse of or directory for all the resources. Okay. Second last okay, sorry, this question, which group membership type auto populates based on the device or user attribute query?
Dynamic user.
Dynamic, that is correct. Okay, what is the only group type usable for Intune policies assignment?
Security.
Security group, correct. Okay, there are two groups type actually, security and office. We'll talk about it, when you're setting it up. Okay, Intune policies are assigned to which of the following?
Intra-ID security groups.
Okay. Okay, which connector allows Intune to quarantine mobile devices from exchange from mailbox access based on compliance status? Which policy do we set?
Exchange connector.
Exchange Connect.
Exchange connector, that's true. Okay, which RBAC role has full control of any of the app's blade?
App manager.
App manager, because we're talking about applications, right? What do scope tags restrict in combination with RBAC roles? If you're setting up a scope tag, already talked about it. Only 6 questions left, guys. Okay, that's true. Okay, where is the company portal logo, color, theme, and all? Yesterday I talked about already. I showed it up as well. Customization. So this is where you set your company portal logo. So whenever user is downloading a company portal on the device, so he can see, or maybe when you go to Windows and you go to company portal, this is where you see the logo, color, theme, and everything. Yesterday I showed it up you, right? Multi-admin approval now extended to which additional scenario beyond interactive admin edits? What we can do with multi-admin approvals now?
Graph API calls.
Okay, so we can also do the automation and service principles, and we can do the scripts as well. That is extended now. Okay, what does the troubleshoot node provide when you look up a specific user or device? Okay, we talked about already. It's a consolidated view.
B.
Okay, then what documented known issues affects the app install lifecycle column in troubleshooting plus support? What documented known issues affects the app install lifecycle column in troubleshooting plus support? So this is where it will talk about if there is any failure. So it will show you which application actually installed correctly and which is absolutely intermittent and showing as failure. Okay. What is pre-populated when you are opening a new support request from this blade? When you're opening a new support request, which thing is pre-populated? B, right? Okay. Okay, last. Where would you check for real-time Intune service incidents?
A.
You sure?
B. Audit logs.
Okay, so service health was right. I just got you confused. Okay. Okay, how was the score, guys? 89% is too strong. Good. Everyone's. Now I know there are multiple things which is out of the course. Course means out of the sessions which we covered so far. But the attempt was absolutely flawless. Everyone is on, absolutely trying to gauge the knowledge, and absolutely you guys are doing awesome. Right, I hope this assessment was something interesting, you learned something and you liked it, right? This is the way we are going to take it forward. So now next we are going to talk about the enrollment types in Intune. Okay, there are more like 15 plus enrollment types that we are going to learn about, and then we will conclude this beginner level, and then we are going to commence our advanced section. Okay, this is where we are going to talk about the Autopilot, PKCS, and enrollment type like Windows, Mac and all. We doing the demonstration and everything. So we are kicking in now. So we are just kicking off this one shortly, and then we'll commencing with a new one. We'll kick off that advanced shortly, and I hope this was really interactive, and all these questions which I have curated, these are somewhere or another, they are falling under that interview question bracket. Okay, so if you are preparing for interviews, these are the tricky ones, but if you can append while answering, you can tell the context why this is and how. If you can show them example or something, it will really impact. Okay, so interviews are something where you showcase your will, you showcase your confidence, also you showcase your knowledge. So your knowledge differentiates you from the other candidates who are just coming up with the nice CV and nice dressing sense, but knowledge which makes you sets you apart. Okay, so thank you so much guys, really appreciate, and it was really fantastic session today, and I hope you learned something interesting. We'll talk about enrollment types next session. Okay, and then we'll conclude this beginner. Okay.
Thanks, Vaibhav. Vaibhav, can we independently take this quiz? There is an option on site.
I will, yeah, we will have it here when we are uploading this section. So we will add this file in that. So independently, you can also go and run through it. Okay.
But as of now, we cannot do, right?
I mean, it's there in your session, right? Whenever you are logging into, yeah, you
can you show like where we can find it?
You can directly go to your Annectens page, right? I'm not sure it's opened up here, but if you go to Annectens right web page and you go to your courses, right there you will find it out. If you say here, so we'll get this added in the course itself, right? So right now it's not added because day 11 is completed. Day 12 when we are uploading in that, if you go here, so in this additional sources we are going to add it, so you can have it here once you playing this video by clicking on it. So here you see like we added yesterday, we talked about Hyper-V, how to enable that Hyper-V, right? So we already provided that script in Hyper-V enable.txt. This needs to be changed to .bat. Okay, I'll mention that. I think yesterday I didn't talk about it. You need to change the extension to BAT and then right click on this file and run as admin, or maybe you can import it in CMD as a run as admin and then call this file and then run it. Okay, so this extension txt will be changed to this one. Okay, it will be changed to .bat. So this is where when you're doing the day 12, this is where underneath you will have this file as well. Okay, that you can go through. Okay.
Yeah, Vaibhav, this Hyper-V will not work in home edition, right? Actually, I have Windows 11 home on my laptop. So it will work only in Pro.
This is really great question, guys. I think I've been getting this question, but okay. Do you see Hyper-V on my machine on this one? Let's launch it. Do you see this Hyper-V and lab?
Yes.
Okay, and let's check my version as well. I'm running on 1 second, let me do the MS info. Okay, I'm also running the home edition. Okay, it's working fine. So that's why I've given that script. That script will break the standard which Microsoft has actually given. They have curbed this, they have stopped it actually, not to use it on home edition, only Pro and other edition enterprises we can have it, but on home edition also we can have it. Okay, using that script it will make that happen. Okay, it will allow you to set that lab and you can have all these there on your home edition as well. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah.
No problem. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate. Take care. Have a nice day ahead. Okay, we'll meet up tomorrow. We'll talk about enrollment types and then we'll conclude this beginner section. Take care.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.